precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They're all mind-wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. He is absolutely right, but he is talking about an unconscious mind. He's talking about a non-meditative mind. He's talking about an unawakened individual who's deeply asleep in the slumber of life. He is referring to the human condition. He is not referring to himself. He is talking about you, not him. There is a big difference. He's in a way saying that without awakening to your true nature, without understanding your mind and body, without gaining control over your senses, without consciously becoming the master of the mind, you are nothing but your mind. And when you truly become the master of the mind, you realize that you are something even above the mind. But you're made of the same stuff as the mind. What is mind made up of? It's made up of thoughts. But not only that, it also has intelligence. It also has awareness. It can make decisions. But not all these belong to thoughts. Mind is a deeper phenomenon. Mind is not just the collection of thoughts. Mind is not just the contents of a cup. It is also the cup. Intelligence, awareness, and aliveness belongs to the cup. Thoughts are simply your experiences. It is the cup, the size of the cup, the shape of the cup that determines the level of freedom the contents have. It is the cup that determines the quality of your life, not just the content. And a cup which is emptied of all its contents is the pure you. Only when you become that pure self, when you realize the true nature of your being, you are beyond the control of the mind. Because now, for the first time, you know the controlling faculties. You know that there is intelligence and awareness that is above and beyond the mind. But when he says everything you are is the mind, he's referring to the very realm in which you live. The you that is identified with the contents of the cup is the individual you. The cup itself is the universal you. Where do you start searching for yourself? Where do you begin your inquiry? If everything you are is the mind, then you have to start by understanding that part of you which is not the mind. There is only one part of you which is not the mind. That is the present moment and your awareness of it. Because mind is a phenomenon. Although Buddha says you are nothing but your mind, there is an assumption there. That is, Mind requires time to exist. Mind cannot just exist in the here and now because it's a phenomenon. A phenomenon requires space to move. It has to move from the past to the future. Your thoughts cannot occupy the present moment. As far as your thoughts are concerned, the present moment is so fleeting, so narrow, that it can only pass through it. It cannot be there. An awakened one is someone who has made it his business, made it his work, his life's effort to be in the present moment. And only he can say, I am. You cannot say that. When you say you are, it is simply your mind saying it. That is why you don't know who you are. That is why you are something else in the morning, something else in the afternoon, and something else in the evening. Depending on the environment, depending on your conditioning, depending on your mood, you are something. You're one thing or the other. That is why you can never pinpoint and say, this is who I am. Why can't you say that? Because it's your mind. Your mind has no identity of its own. It picks up the identity of the thoughts that it is entertaining. While the pure mind is the very cup, which is intelligent, which is alive, which is conscious, your mind is intermixed with thoughts. So its identity is always muddled. Its true identity is lost. It has picked up a false identity, an illusion. What is that illusion? The illusion of form, the illusion of change, the illusion of birth, the illusion of death. See, to be able to understand a man like Buddha, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And you have to understand that here is a man who is not using words lightly. There is no necessity for Buddha to say one thing when the nature of reality is another. You can be absolutely sure when Buddha says something, that is how things are. Especially when he's talking about the nature of the mind, the nature of the body, life, death. Yes, as with any enlightened master's teachings, there are some fabrications. People have added something more to his teachings. Now, those are not difficult to identify. You can see the context is social. For example, when Buddha talks about right and wrong, good and bad, when he talks about morality, when he talks about the right speech, the right action, not being cruel to animals, you can see shades of the human minds that have hijacked some of Buddha's teachings to make it into a moral philosophy. Buddha's teachings are so pure, so existential, that it is utterly useless for anybody other than an individual. A community cannot make use of his teachings. A group can do nothing with his message. It was the same with Jesus' message. It was the same with Moses' message. If you go deeper into their true teachings, only an individual can hear, interpret, understand, and use those teachings. When a community tries to interpret it, it has to manipulate it. It has to add something more. In those moments, yes, you can be a little skeptical and you can question and argue. But when Buddha is talking about all those things and individual experiences inside him, there is no doubting the truth of his words. That is why he is the awakened one. We recognize him as the awakened one because those words have stayed true for the past 2,500 years. Their meaning, their importance, their value has not diminished one bit. In fact, it has only become more relevant, more useful. And the farther we go into the future, the more relevant Buddha becomes. Because he is talking from a space of truth. He's not speaking from his mind. He is not speaking for any ulterior motive or purpose. He has nothing to gain. He does not want anything from you. He has realized something. And he is putting that realization in words. That is why every sentence, every word he speaks should be watched and observed and understood very carefully. Buddha is a surgeon and the best of all surgeons. He knows how to separate the false you from the real you. He can see that you are a lie. Everything you know about yourself is a lie. This doesn't mean that you are a conscious liar. It only means that you have no conception of the truth. You are living in a world of lies. You're living in a world of images. Everything in your world is relative. Nothing is absolute. The totality of all your experiences are relative because you are not doing them. There is no you who is doing things. You are not doing life. Life is happening to you. Life is a phenomenon that has just happened to you. You're there somewhere far away as pure consciousness, pure aliveness, watching everything that is happening. But you're not in touch with that pure self. So for all practical purposes, as far as you are concerned, that pure self doesn't even exist. You are so close to your mind, to the world of thoughts and images, that is your only reality. That is why he says, you are nothing but your mind.